Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards. Welcome back to December Daily for 2024. I am working on story number 14. This was story 13 about doing some of our figuring out our shopping and gifting stuff for this year. So I think the next story that I'm going to do is going to be this one. This is one that I set up during prep day again. It's using obviously the die cut page. It's got the nice, I've got a second side here. Actually, I need to take this page protector out of here. Nice big circle. I love how that turned out. It's got the transparency on the inside there. And what this is going to be is a home for an image of each person in my family. Well, so we've got the white plastic ornament. Then we have an image of a person in my family. And then we also have this little thing, this little guy here, which is where I am writing a little bit of information about each person in the family. And so I'm going to be using a brad to attach this on here. I think a brad. If I do a brad, I got to think about this. But that's probably what I'm going to do. And so I have one for, each person, all my initials. And then there's also one just for a little title, family and friends, and the merriest time of the year. So it's going to end up looking something like this. I got to print out and cut out. For this one, I used Photoshop and used a template that we gave away during prep day. And so that's in there, had both a photo template and then a template that you could add words to if you wanted to make something similar to this. So I love the idea of the wreath to document a little bit about what's happening with my people. So that is what I'm going to be working on today. All right, so first step for me in this one was printing out the PDF that we had as a download during prep day. Prep day, in case you are brand new listening here, is a $5 event, online event that we have done each year for a number of years now, and it has multiple hours of content, recorded content, project ideas, inspiration, all that kind of stuff, and downloads too. It's something that you can still grab if you are interested, but if you were able to join us or you already purchased that, this is something that you can download from the digital package. This is the ornament PDF, and you can see that on top of here, I am currently using our gold foil numbers to add our ages. So these are the ages of myself and each of the people in my immediate family. And I decided to go ahead and do this by hand rather than doing it digitally. You can take this PDF and you can add text on top of it. So if that makes more sense for you, you can absolutely do that. Another thing that I know I mentioned, maybe this is in the blog post rather than in the video, but this same idea, like having 8 ornaments on here, could be used for any kind of list, right? Like you might do, instead of doing the initials, the name initials that I did on here with all those A's, we have a lot of A's, you could put numbers on those. You could do a 1 through 8 or a 1 through 5 or a 1 through 4 or something like that, and then still have the layered look with the different transparencies and a photo maybe, and or numbers and or lots of different things, right? Or numbers on these ornaments or a little story on these ornaments. It's been fun to see how different people have used the different kinds of ornaments that we had this year, right? The transparencies and the vellum, and then these different printable options that we had for prep day too. So as I was working on this, originally I was going to have, I solicited information from the kids back in November for this, and then decided when I was working on it today to just go ahead and handwrite currently and then pick 1 or 2 things that I know that they are currently into or are currently a piece of their own story right now. So for Simon, it was making movies and staying up late. For me, it's going to be the fact that I still have too many tabs open and am really struggling and just there's those times in your life when you're just trying to make it through. I'm definitely finding myself in that space. And it's just, we all encounter that from time to time in our lives. It just happens to be the thing that I'm dealing with right now. So I wrote on Aaron's that he's currently learning about home renovation on YouTube. For me, again, I said I still have too many tabs open. For Isaac, I put that he's in school, taking full credits at Oregon State. For Elliot, I put that he's into he doesn't like the cold weather, and he's into making music. And for Audrey, she just had her 16th birthday, and so I said something about celebrating her birthday, and she's going to hopefully get her driver's license this week. For Anna, I talked about driver's ed. She's in driver's ed right now, and volleyball and school stuff. So lots of kind of the basic things that they are into right now, but I always love including this kind of stuff just as context for the present moment, right? Context for the season that we are all in over here, especially with everybody getting older, right? All these older kids, and it's a lot different than it was when they were younger. But if you have younger kids, you could totally do something like maybe have a couple of the toys that they're after, or things that are on their wish list. We could do that with adults too. Lots of different ways that you could use this concept as a jumping off point for your own storytelling. So in addition to that PDF, the Prep Day download also included a PSD file, which is a layered template file that you can use in Photoshop. You can actually take your photos and mask them into that shape. That is a Photoshop action, or a Photoshop, something you can do in Photoshop. You can also just cut out circles in the ornament shape if you're wanting to add something like this as well. So lots of different options, just do circles, right? So I did photos for most of us. The Elliot and Isaac, Aaron's two older boys, would like to not have their photos included in stuff anymore, and that's totally fine with me. So I'm not including an image of them, but I did write down a little bit of context about what's happening in their own life. So I want to be respectful of that for any of the kids that feel that way. So cutting this out for Anna there, cutting out her little picture, cutting out the picture of Aaron, cutting out one of me that includes Anna in it too. And then the next piece in this process is going to be trimming out the ones on paper there with our ages and currently. And that will become the base. That'll be what gets actually adhered to the background wreath. And as you can see here, obviously I'm cutting these all out by hand, just going slowly. And it's actually one of the things today that it helped me de-stress a little bit. And I was thinking about that related to crafting and related to moving my hands and related to making stuff, like the making of stuff and the telling of the stories. And that's my favorite part of my job, right? That's the part that I love the most. And it's something that I love in my life too, is the playfulness and the telling of the stories and the playing with the shapes and the printing of the photos and all of that. Like, that is what brings joy to my life. And so it was a good reminder to me today when I was struggling a little bit to actually just go to my table and make some stuff, right? Get my photos printed, just dive into the process. And some of the pieces that are the mundane pieces of cutting out the circles, yes, we could have had a die for that. I want to work on that for the future, but we don't. And so just cutting things by hand, though, it really felt really good for me tonight. And I'm feeling really thankful for that part of this project too. So in case you needed that little reminder. All right, there you can see how these are going to be layered. I'm going to have the initial on the top, and then I'm going to have a photo, and then I will have the little piece with their age and what they're currently into. I'm using a paper piercer to punch a hole, and then I'm using some small mini brads to hold each of the 3 pieces together, or the 2 pieces for the boys. I also still have the family and friends transparency that's on top of another transparency, and you'll see in a minute I'm going to create one more base for that one. But after I got those all set up, now I am simply using rolling adhesive to adhere those onto the background of the wreath. And you can see where I'm just kind of trying to space them evenly around the outside of around the outside of the wreath there, and have it so that they are all oriented, pointing vertically, right? Pointing up to the top. That was just my choice. I think you could mix them up. You could move them around a little bit. There's lots of different things you could do. You could also have a lot more on here. Let's say maybe you have more people in your family, or you want to do 10 things, or you want to do 15 things. You could easily overlap these ornaments, and that would be a fun look as well. So just thinking about other things that you can do as you might be playing around with this one here. And as usual, I needed to move things around a little bit, even after I adhered them down, moved them around, picked them back up again. That's kind of how it goes in this creative process too. I did spread them out in the design in terms of I have both of the boys. The boys are on one side and one on the other side, since those were the two that didn't have photos with them. Just from a design standpoint, I think it's nice to not have them right next to each other, but that they are opposite each other. From one side to the other. So when I started to adhere the family and friends, and I was going to use rolling adhesive, but then I didn't want to see the dots again. So I cut out one more of the ornaments from the PDF, and I'm going to handwrite on there. Always so very thankful is what I decided to write on there. So completely thankful. And then that will just be the background behind the family and friends and the merriest time of the year. So just adding that on there, and then that will repeat the same pattern as the other ones and have three little elements on top of each other. All right, I really love how this one came together. I think it's fun. It's just a fun. It's a fun one, and I love that you could hang lots of different ornaments on here, and I love the graphic nature of it. I'm always such a fan of having the big initials. That's something I've been doing since I was a little kid, and almost all of my memory keeping, all the years of doing it, but really enjoyed laying that on there. All right, this is going to go back into my album. So my next story, which will be story 15, will have a half circle in it. And then we'll see what comes next. I also did add a 14, a 1 and a 4 with the puffy numbers to the front on top of the transparency that's on the inside of the half circle on the front. So that's on the front edge. You can see that in the photos on the blog. All right, you guys, I will see you back here soon with the next story.